Hello and Merry Christmas. Yes, that's right. This is the Expertise is Overrated Christmas special.
Which, of course, makes this the best gift you'll receive all year.
If you haven't already succumbed to a holiday coma, this episode should actually be coming out to you live. Well, not live, but on December 25th itself. Are we mad? Are we just mad?
Yeah, I put that line in our script. Yes, we have a script.
And then
mostly to just kick myself up the arse to actually get this episode edited to release on Christmas Day. I don't think we ever planned this throughout the year. It just so happened that that falls naturally on our release schedule.
Wonderfully serendipitous.
So yes, hopefully we do make it.
If we don't, enjoy listening to this on like January the 3rd.
February 12th.
Or whatever.
Which would be, I mean...
It'd be very on brand.
We're surprisingly topical for a change.
Yes, not only are we having a Christmas special, we're actually discussing Christmas things. Or Christmas-ish things, I guess.
Well, are we?
So, we have both, I think today, just finished Terry Pratchett's supposed Christmas novel set in his Discworld universe, Hogfather. I'm a big Discworld fan, but I'd never read Hogfather for reasons I don't quite know until I finished it. And you've never read any Terry Pratchett at all?
Up until today, I had never read any Terry Pratchett whatsoever. No.
Will you be?
But I thought... I thought this might be a nice introduction. It's like, it's a Christmas novel. It's on the Big Reads top 200 list.
Is it?
Yeah. One of a few Pratchett novels, actually. The only reason I know that is because today, after finishing the book, I had to go and read on Wikipedia what the book was about. And there were definitely some story plots that I was like, oh, that's what happened. Okay.
There's so much. It's so Pratchett. Like, more than just about any other Pratchett novel that I've read. It's so Pratchett.
So it's wild. I must also say, in my defense, I started this at about 2 a.m. on a bus to Heathrow.
I remember you sending that.
Which might have been a problem.
That's fair.
So there might be a bit of a section that I sort of missed and didn't really realise because I was asleep without realising I was asleep.
No, I think probably your reaction... I think we're going to get lots of angry mail because Hogfather's really popular. People really like it.
Yes, people really like it. Yeah, I don't know.
Did you enjoy it? Like, taking a step back from the fact that you don't have a clue what happened, did you find the experience of reading it fun?
So I should preface this as well because, as is my style, because I can't read. Yeah, exactly. So I listened to Tony Robinson give a delightful performance, to be fair.
Oh, that would be good, actually. I bet he does Albert very well.
Couldn't tell you. Don't know who Albert is. But yeah, it was great. It's a wild romp. It's a bit sort of... How do I best put this? If you were to drop some acid, I think this could be fantastic. A wild time. Don't drop acid, please.
I mean, don't.
But, if one were to...
Make sure you carry your acid very
It's crazy. Every single time I was like, what is happening? This is such a wild ride.
I often read in bed because it's the sort of easiest way I find a spare 10 minutes. It's just before I go to sleep. But I was really annoying my wife because I was just like sitting reading and just chuckling quietly to myself at some of the wordplay. So that was great. But I think it suffers in a few ways. Well, firstly, it doesn't really explain Discworld very well. And my memory of the Discworld novels was that they all explained the Discworld a bit better than Hogfather does, but I might just be remembering some of the ones that do and then transposing that across.
So this is interesting, right? So I mean, I'd never read any Pratchett before, which I think is potentially, well, it's not fine, I guess, but
you don't know. No, you don't have to read everything. I think you would enjoy Pratchett if you read it, or if you had it read to you by Tony Robinson.
No, but what I'm sort of getting at is that if I hadn't known that the Discworld was a thing, I probably still wouldn't after this.
No, I think that's true. It doesn't matter.
But that was almost the issue, because the entire time I was like, oh, this fits into a wider universe, I think. Or that's at least how I am thinking about what Pratchett might look like.
Death and Susan and Nobby Nobbs and Visit and Ridcully and Ponder Stibbins, they're all Discworld characters.
Ah, that would have helped.
The whole thing takes place, well, not the whole thing, but most of it takes place in Ankh-Morpork, which is the main city about which Pratchett writes his Discworld novels.
Yeah.
So you maybe you just need that extra context. It also isn't helped by the fact that it's the third book in the Death series.
I see. Yeah, there was an element of not assumed knowledge, but there was so many characters being introduced in such a short book.
Yeah.
That, yeah, you sort of have to hope that they are actually mentioned elsewhere.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
It was a bit overwhelming from that point of view.
Yeah, there's more.
Also,
yeah, there's more, and there's
the idea of a Christmas book that has Death as its main character is kind of wild.
I like that, but that works because Death is a character in the Discworld. So obviously, most of what you get of Death is filtered through Susan. I suppose we should probably at this point say, yeah, we're probably going to spoil the entirety of Hogfather, if for no other reason than we're going to need to spoil it in order to work out what happened.
That would be appreciated.
But yeah, Death in the weird relationship that Death, the character, has with humanity, I think is sort of why Death works as your character, or is it not as a main character, because he's not the main character, but he's one of several. But it is a bit odd, but there is a sort of message that runs through quite a lot of the Discworld novels, which is that you shouldn't be afraid of death. Death is perfectly natural. And obviously Pratchett, I don't think when he was writing Hogfather, but when he was writing his later books, he knew he was ill. I'm fairly sure he knew he was terminally ill. So there's an element of that comes through in his writing, and being comfortable with the existence of death as a being and as a natural part of being alive, which is quite good. I'm not sure how much it matters for a Christmas story, though.
But is it that?
It is, and I guess this almost forces us to define what a Christmas story is.
Yeah, I mean, lest we get into the age-old argument of, oh, this is a Christmas film, oh, no, it's not, that sort of thing.
Yes.
But it does matter. You really like defining things. So what to you is a Christmas story?
You know it when you see it. Except you obviously don't, because people argue about whether or not certain things like Die Hard are Christmas films. It's not.
I mean, it is.
Well, this is the problem.
But I'll tell you why it is for me, because I essentially only ever watch it around Christmas.
That is, I think, actually a big part of it. Is when do you watch or when do you consume the media in question? So if you only ever read Hogfather at Christmas time, then to you it might be a Christmas tale because you associate it with Christmas. And Hogswatch, which is the event in the novel, is clearly Pratchett's parallel for Christmas. There's no question. And the Hogfather,
except that it's on December
Santa.
32nd.
Of course it is, because it's Pratchett.
Yeah, but that's more sort of because Hogmanay is Scottish New Year.
That's right. Yeah, 31st of December.
Yeah, so that confused me a little bit. It's like, so are we talking Christmas or some sort of New Year's tradition.
All the traditions are Christmas traditions. So the Hogfather coming down the chimney and leaving gifts, the big meal, the sense of giving and receiving of gifts, all of that's Christmas.
But a sort of sun...
Will the sun rise?
Sun rising again feels a bit more like a New Year's thing.
But if you think...
I appreciate it happens every day, of course, but...
Until it doesn't. But...
Until it doesn't.
I thought that was really good at the end. You've also got the fact that pagan festivals, which Hogswatch sort of is, and pagan religions don't differ, or didn't necessarily differentiate between the winter solstice and the turning of the year. So Saturnalia, for example, you don't have a feast 7 days later to mark the turning of the year. Saturnalia was the turning of the year. So we separated those out as part of the institution of the Gregorian calendar, I'm fairly sure.
Yeah. Yeah, I know that's right. When we moved stuff around.
Good old Julius Caesar fixing the calendar. Wow.
More parties, yay.
Yeah, well, exactly. But that sort of...
So no, I think with this one, it's pretty on the nose, right? Yeah. We are sort of talking about Santa Claus, Father Christmas... The Hogfather.
But I think you're right that there is a Hogmanay analogue there as well, if in nothing other than the name.
But also the sort of the spirit of Christmas. Is it that central a tenet to the story? It probably is, actually, right? Because it's people wanting to get rid of the Hogfather because he gives humans happiness. Almost.
Yeah, and the death keeping plucking at Christmas, and when he's doing it, he is plucking at Christmas, not at New Year traditions of the sort of why can't I just give everyone what they want? Why is it right that X happens instead of Y? And Albert trying to explain to him, oh well, it's Hogswatch, isn't it? And Death sort of going, yeah, but it's not. This isn't what it should be. That's Christmassy. But the problem is, it doesn't really get resolved in the way you would expect it to in a Christmas film. I don't think. Maybe it does.
It doesn't. It doesn't. The ending is sort of just, they rescue him and he goes off and does his thing.
Yeah, Death did it for a year.
Which for what?
Death did it for one night, so that next year the Hogfather can do it.
Yeah.
Which is, yeah.
It doesn't have that sort of that feel good happy ending in a way. I mean, it kind of does, but equally it ends on tea time being killed. So
yeah, well that's Tea Timmy. That's so good. How does I was wondering this in the audiobooks? How does Tony Robinson do Death's voice and Susan's version of the Death voice? Because in the books it's written in all caps and without speech marks.
Oh, all caps. He does it kind of sinister.
Right.
Not like raspy, but sort of like a sinister whisper that isn't a whisper.
Yeah.
I'm explaining that terribly.
I'll need to find it somewhere, because in the books there's no speech, there's no quotation marks, because the sense is that Death doesn't talk. Death's voice just appears in your head with the words fully formed, and it's a thing that Susan can do, but doesn't. Yeah,
because there's moments where she tries to. It's a lot of impersonating going on, isn't there?
Yes.
No, it's he does it well.
Because
Death was actually one of the sort of standout voices for me. Because after a while, oh god, who is this? Who is this person?
Yeah, there's a lot of characters, especially amongst
who's the god of hangovers, and why is the Tooth Fairy so important in all this?
The Tooth Fairy came out of absolutely nowhere.
Who then is also a bogeyman? Is that right? The bogeyman is the Tooth Fairy.
The first bogeyman.
It's all that. It's stuff like that where I was like, what am I listening to?
It was so weird. But a lot of the book seems to be about old gods taking up new roles. So if we think the original bogeyman is this sort of the metaphysical condensation of early humanity's fear, right, and that gives rise to the original bogeyman. Then when early humanity masters fire and tools such that those cultural fears are no longer relevant, the original bogeyman needs to shift itself into another sphere, and it becomes the Tooth Fairy. But it's so out of nowhere. I thought I was so confused.
And if you're not, well, that's good to hear actually, because I was like, if you're not familiar with Pratchett, this is just not the style of book that I was anywhere near ready for.
It's quite Pratchett in its last page
silliness,
silliness, irreverence, I think, rather than silliness, because Pratchett deals with it deals with serious themes. It does.
Yeah, that's the thing that threw me completely, because all I'd ever heard about Pratchett was, it's a bit silly, but sort of tongue in cheek, I guess. Like it's all just very comedic, but it's not actually.
Well,
it's quite deep and meaningful.
He absolutely, throughout the Discworld, makes a point of dealing with serious topics, but in a manner that makes them not lighthearted, but like easily consumable. So there's a book called Jingo, for example, that's all about basically reads like the run up to the Iraq and Afghanistan wars in 2001, 2002. Like, it's just about cultural imperialism against perceived lesser nations. But it's done in a characteristic and quintessentially Pratchett-y way, so you don't realizing you're essentially reading an indictment of Western foreign policy until you get to the end, and then you go, wait, hold on. He's just tricked me into reading that. That's what he does. He tricks you into reading these books.
Yeah. No, it's impressive, because it's sort of, at first I was like, is this like a kid's book? But then very quickly on, assassins get hired. Yeah. And I was like, that doesn't sound like a kid book thing.
But the Assassins Guild themselves are quite funny. Tea Time isn't. But the guild is.
But yeah, because the first interaction you have with Tea Time and I forget his name, but I guess the master, the guild master,
I forget his name as well.
But that whole sort of situation is quite humorous, and then Tea Time, he's super dark. That for me, that was like, well, this is definitely not a children's book.
Yeah, the way he Dr. Downey is the master of the Assassin's Guild. I've got my copy sitting right next to me.
But any universe that has an Assassin's Guild, probably not that kid-oriented.
No, but this is the point. The assassins in the Discworld are quite funny. Like, they're deliberately written to be relatively a light-hearted way of dealing with a political entity like an Assassin's Guild. But they're still an Assassin's Guild. They still kill people for money.
But that's what I mean. It's like, the term assassin in itself is quite complicated.
Yeah, they're
right. You're not going to be a 6-year-old who's thinking deeply about assassination.
No, they're not kids' books. Fundamentally, there are young adult books set in the Discworld, and they're separate. They're their own thing. They're things like the We Free Men, and they're good. And like, you can read them as an adult, but they're noticeably different in style.
That's impressive.
And they're less likely to deal with like the Assassin's Guild and things like that.
Yeah. But that was the thing for me. Like when you start off, it's like, oh, this is so like zany and weird and fun, and then oddly serious, but equally very hard to follow.
You're trying to work. I don't know if you. I was trying to work out throughout where on the timeline each of the points of view sat, because they're not contemporaneous, I don't think.
Oh, you're miles ahead of me. I was literally clinging on for dear life for most of that. in like a good way.
Do you understand the plot in very broad strokes?
Yeah, I think the premise was something that eluded me a little bit, because I think it will happen too fast. But like when the contract is made, from that point on, I was like, okay, interesting. Then I had to go back and actually figure out how Tea Time did it, because that I clearly was asleep for that. But, using teeth to control children to stop belief in the Hogfather, and then death because the Hogfather turns out to be actually quite important, other than just being Santa.
Yeah, I think that. Yeah,
and so that was quite interesting. So death being like a, recognizing that entities have jobs to do, and that's all quite important.
Recognizing
the reality sort of depends on
recognizing the specific importance of belief in things like the Hogfather. I thought that was really good. The sort of closing quote from Death, where Susan's like, "Well, what would happen if the Hogfather stayed dead?" It's like the sun wouldn't rise, and Susan's like, "Wait, what?" It's like, "Yeah, no, sun wouldn't rise. Instead, all that would happen is that the world would be lit by a flaming ball of gas." And you're like, so it's essentially belief is what it's what Death keeps saying. Belief is what makes us human. The fact that we anthropomorphize and name and give everything stories.
See, that was wild, because that is more or less one of the last things in the book, right?
It comes out of nowhere. This whole
but it helps to put the whole book into context.
Yeah, why does Death care?
Yeah,
you don't learn,
and it's also so well put, right? Yeah, it's this is not to get sort of too Professor Brian Cox about it, but it's a sort of thing, right? The stars all go around. There's trillions of them, trillions of galaxies, etc. But where the only reason it has any meaning for us whatsoever is because we can observe it, and we can name it, and we can interact with it.
It's the point.
You take all that away, it still happens.
To be fair, the book does make that point very early on, actually. But it's like, I think it's in a footnote. It's when it's talking about it's one of the Unseen University bits where they talk about the professor of anthropology, who basically posits that the only reason the universe exists is so that the professor of anthropology can exist, which is sort of the same point that Death is making at the very, very end, which is that things only have meaning because we give them meaning.
Oh, I wonder if I actually got the footnotes.
Did you get the footnotes? Because they're so important.
I don't remember there being sort of instances where it's like footnote.
Yeah.
So maybe you just weave them into the text.
I'd need to see if I can get hold. I might try and get hold of the Tony Robinson version and then compare it and see where the footnotes come in and if you get them, because they're throughout all Pratchett and they make a huge difference.
Equally, I think I might actually get this one as a book, because it feels like Pratchett sounds like he kind of makes use of author's tools, right? Like all caps for death and stuff. And those are quite interesting literary tricks that I've had to see.
Like when you get Twyla's, I'm just looking at it here, Twyla's Hogswatch or Hogfather letter is like handwritten in the book and things like that.
Nice. Yeah, that's cool.
So
that's
it's
nice
quite. He was a very clever author in the way that he used all of the tools at his disposal.
Yeah. No, I'd be very interested in reading some Discworld now.
Yeah.
Maybe one. Maybe start at the beginning.
I would never recommend people start at the beginning because it takes a little while to get going. I would say there's sort of 2-ish good jumping in points, but realistically, I'd say start with Guards, which is like book 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, book 8 or book 9. But that's the first of the Watch series, which is a long-running series of books,
right?
That touch across all of the Discworld canon, basically, and it's really good. And because it's that long-running series, you've got consistent characters that you're with for the journeys and things like that, which is really nice.
That'd be useful, yeah. Now, would you ever recommend anyone start with the Hogfather, having just read it?
I don't think so. I think if you want to read the Hogfather, I think you need to have read, and I haven't, Mort and Reaper Man, which are the 2 death books. I think the 2 death books that come before it. I'm just going to check that.
Okay.
I'm just going to check that.
I mean, it was a fun ride. So, because I think because we're all kind of familiar with Christmas or the holiday period, or that's well, I guess in this case, very specifically Christmas.
Yeah,
it's familiar, and I think that helps to an extent. To an extent,
yeah.
Critically,
no, I think it does. It was definitely easier for me to read than you, by all accounts, because I know Pratchett, so I get what he's doing a lot of the time when he's being clever with words or what have you. So hex, for example, I know because I've read other books that have hex in them. So I'm always looking for the hex jokes.
Also, thanks for making me edit out your mouse wheel scrolling.
I'm editing this one.
On Christmas Eve.
I'm editing this one,
Thank you very much. No, I think I am, aren't I?
It's the next book.
Oh, yes, the next episode. Yeah. Get fun. Merry Christmas to you.
It's fine. I'm trying to find my...
Let me get my mouse wheel out. Oh, yeah, that's the good stuff.
That's really noisy.
That's it. That's my second gift to you.
That's so good. Here we go. This is what I'm looking for. Terry Pratchett reading order. Death. Yeah, you need... Oh, so you also need to have read Soul Music. I think you need to have at least read Mort, which is the first Death novel, because you need to understand where Death fits in the world, I think.
Yeah, makes sense.
And you need to understand some of, like, what makes him weird, I think.
Yeah. No, I mean, I'm keen, because, I mean, again, looking at the big read, which for those of you unfamiliar, if you're not from the UK, it was a survey on books carried out at the BBC in 2003, so it's a bit old now, 20 years old. But I don't know, something like 750,000 people voted.
Yeah.
And Pratchett is in the top 215
That's
times.
Insane. That's like a significant portion of
It's
Discworld.
Yeah, that's the most.
That's crazy.
Although arguably the most impressive is Tolkien, who's number one, having written
one book.
Well, one book, I suppose. He's in twice, because I'm assuming The Hobbit is in here somewhere. Yeah, The Hobbit's 25th.
So Lord of the Rings is number one. That's
yeah.
incredible. Just, I did this. It's the best.
Number 5 is the one that really threw me.
Oh.
Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire.
Is that the top Harry Potter?
Yeah.
That's
number 5.
Wild.
Just in front of To Kill a Mockingbird, which... Seeing those two next to each other is just weird all around.
Big juxtaposition.
Which is then followed by Winnie the Pooh and then followed by 1984. So it's an odd list.
That's crazy. What's Pratchett's top book in there?
Yeah, so I'm trying to see where does he start cropping up? Because you imagine that because Discworld is clearly a universe, that it'll be the same sort of people voting, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
It's unlikely that there'll be like a crazy outlier.
Unless it's some...
Good Omens by
that's
Neil Gaiman. Terry Pratchett, 68.
Which I don't actually need to read. Pratchett. I've watched it and I really enjoyed it, so I need to watch it. I need to read it. I suspect that Good Omens, the sort of weirdness, is Pratchett more than it is Gaiman, because I've read some other Gaiman and it's not that weird.
I've only read his Norse mythology, which is... Yeah. Oh, Mort, 65, Terry Pratchett.
Fair enough. So that's the first of the Death books.
That I can see, that I can see. And then Night Watch, 73.
That's the bet. That's a lot of people's favourite. It might be my favourite.
Then The Colour of Magic, at 93.
Which is the very first.
Then we leave Midnight's Children by Salman Rushdie. Okay.
That's just people being controversial.
Small Gods at 102.
Never read that one.
Dracula by Bram Stoker, 104. Look at that.
Good man.
Oh, Point Blank by Anthony Horowitz, 105. That's a good book as well.
Oh, I haven't read those in ages.
Good young adult books, yeah. What else we got here? Les Mis.
Who
the fuck has read Les Mis?
No one has read Les Mis.
114, that's bullshit.
No one has read.
No one has read Les Mis.
The socio-political role of convents in medieval France can get fucked as an interlude to my novel.
On that. I could watch
Just
it.
go and watch it.
Reaper Man is 126.
Yeah. There is out there, while you search through, there is out there a BBC adaptation of Hogfather that I have been
I saw that.
I've been looking for, and I can't find it anywhere.
Weird Sisters, 135. Hogfather, 137.
I think that's probably fair. It's good. I can see why people like it. I can see why it would be a lot of people's favourite, but it's, for me, it has one of the problems that some Pratchett books have, where it's sort of too weird for its own good, I think. And a lot of it is very good. I like all the stuff with the wizards, which I don't often in Pratchett, but they get enough time on screen to be their own particular kind of weird.
They were very weird, though.
But they are, but they're...
Because, again, they sort of come out of nowhere.
Yeah, but this is the thing, because you haven't read Pratchett, you don't know the position that the wizards take in... But we need to stop using that as an excuse, because there is no expectation that you will sit down and read every book in order from Colour of Magic to
No, of course.
Raising Steam or Snuff.
But that was a real point, and maybe that's because I was grumpy having been up for such a long time already. But because that was when the whole oh god thing happened, and like all these gods popping in, all these fake gods popping into existence, and then the wizards show up, and I was like, what is happening? I don't understand anything's going on.
Yeah.
So that's where the book kind of lost me a little bit. So I did stop.
That's fair.
And then came back to it later.
That's interesting, I guess. So it wasn't the wizards themselves, it was the sort of... They were the culmination of just lots of being frustrated with the way the book was going.
Yeah, there was just a lot going on, and I think... I think upon a reread, I'll be a bit more forgiving, potentially.
That's something to be said for Pratchett. It's absolutely a way of writing that lends itself to rereads, because you get more every time you reread it.
Yeah. I've just seen 100 Years of Solitude is at 32. That's a book where I got about 50 pages in and decided to leave it at that. I think there's a lot of sort of people showing off in these lists. I think A bit of that. I mean, Pride and Prejudice is at number 2.
Yeah, but...
Which feels really pretentious.
But also it is actually a book that has a huge cultural impact. As opposed to something like 100 Days of Solitude, which just doesn't, to be blunt.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, no, Hogfather. Go and read it if you haven't. It's a wild ride, which is ultimately what books are supposed to be about, right?
It is, and there are poignant moments in it. The sort of the resolution of it at the castle of the Tooth Fairy, where Banjo ends up as the new Tooth Fairy, is wild, but also in a way quite nice, almost. And Susan's constant struggle to fit in before sort of slowly coming to terms with the fact that she needs to not fit in because only she can do the things that need to be done sometimes, and that's relatively powerful, I think. But it wouldn't be where I told people to start on Pratchett. Go and read Guards, and then we can have another chat about Pratchett, I think.
Yeah, we'll turn it into a bit of a mini-series.
I like that.
Every now and then we'll revisit Pratchett.
What did you think of?
Yeah. Seriously, what the fuck is up with Tea Time?
Tea Time. I like Tea Time as well, actually, as a villain. I can't really think of anyone else in Discworld quite like Tea Time, but just this kind of like, I'm just a psychopath. Like, there's nothing funny about me. There's no bit. There's no quirk. He's just a psychopath.
He really is. Like, he goes hard.
But it's done so well. An assassin who scares Lord Doney and things like that is really good, because Lord Doney is not afraid of anyone.
But I feel like in a book like this, you kind of need that, because it's so quirky and weird, and
he's almost a comic book villain.
Because he's so identifiably evil that it provides a weird anchor point.
Yes. Yeah. You understand right off the bat. There's no nuance here. really, tea time is so obviously awful and evil that whatever he's doing has to be bad.
Exactly. So you don't really worry too much about why is Death working with the boogeyman, etc. That sort of stuff. Because there's one very obvious.
Whatever tea time is doing, we have to stop because.
Yeah, exactly. Although I guess I keep wanting to call them outsiders because in some ways this has reminded me a lot of what Butcher does in the Dresden Files with the sort of belief matters
I thought that. Yeah, I think it's a very, very good point.
What are the observers? No, what
auditors.
The auditors. Thank you. Which do come out of nowhere. I'm like,
to be fair, I've never they might be in other Discworld books, but I don't remember them.
It's just their introduction, right? Because it's with the Guildmaster who handles it so calmly.
Yeah.
Which already put me on the back foot. I was like, oh no. There's so much going on already.
Yeah, but Downey's meant, if you read it might be different if it's being read to you, but if you read it, Downey is clearly completely off balance there. But he handles it because that's what he does. That's like his superpower is never being off balance. He's like, he's not in this book, which is a real shame, but he's like Lord Vetinari, who is the tyrant of Ankh-Morpork, the dictator, the despot, one of those things. He's like the ruler of the city, but he's got some hilarious, I think it's dictator or I can't remember which one. Tyrant, I think. It's good. It's just ridiculously over the top title, but he's like a quintessential politician. He's never off balance. He's never surprised, even when he is, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And Downey is just like a diet version of him. And every now and then someone will it's just talking about this one. Every now and then someone will confront Vetinari about something that he's doing and how it's completely ridiculous or you can't do that. And he's just like, I'm a tyrant. I can do what I like. But he has no actual power. He just is the tyrant. And he keeps his power by being very good at being a politician. Anyway.
Yeah, I mean, makes sense.
Go and read the Guards books because he's in those.
Very Trumpian. Trumpian?
Yeah,
Trumpist?
Trumpist, I think, or Trumpian. But imagine that, but also someone who wants to make the world a better place and is good at their job and really smart.
Yeah.
But
so yeah, the Hogfather. Great. Discworld. Can't wait. Every now and then. I feel like too much too soon could be
definitely
too much too soon.
Feels like something you could overdo. Discworld.
Yes, I think so. But I think it's just getting a feel for the universe and going with that.
Yeah. I might read it again next year. If I spend a bit of time this coming year reading other Pratchett, read it again next year and see where it fits.
Yeah. I think now that I'm ready for its depth, that'll help.
Yes.
Because, if you go in expecting Elf and you come out having just read The Hogfather, it doesn't quite work.
Quite line up, no.
No, it doesn't quite line up.
But I think that brings us, unless there's anything else you want to say on Hogfather, it brings us quite neatly on to the sort of second segment, I hesitate to say half, but second segment of the episode, which is just sort of what do you watch, what do you read, what do you listen to around Christmas, around New Year?
It's more to just, provide a bit of holiday spirit for the people who are lacking it or who have already lost it, given that it's December 25th and you're obviously listening to this on December 25th, because what else are you doing?
I know I will.
Yeah. So actually, on Christmas Day, I never watch any sort of Christmas films because there's always way too much like family stuff going on.
I used to, when I was a lot younger, stay up. I used to record the Doctor Who Christmas special, and then I'd watch it after everyone else had gone to bed at like 11 o'clock at night. When I was too full, I'd had a little bit too much to drink, and I'd watch like some ridiculous, like not really connected to the rest of the series Doctor Who Christmas special with like a Titanic floating through space or something, and it was great.
Yeah, that's fair. But
I've stopped watching Doctor Who.
But that's fundamentally the issue with that's fundamentally the issue with Christmas Day, isn't it? That you sort of eat early and then you eat too much. And so you're kind of just out for the count for half a day.
You eat early, but you're still eating after when you would normally have finished eating your second meal.
Yes. And then the port comes out. It's glorious, but messy.
Yeah, it's great.
So Boxing Day really is, I think, the day for Christmas, which sometimes feels a bit weird, right? Because it's kind of after the fact.
Yeah,
in some ways.
It is. We often watch some in the run-up, so we'll watch Love Actually at some point before Christmas. But we watched it last year, and I think I might be going off Love Actually, which I know is heresy.
See, it's funny because my mum used to always say that she didn't think it was a good film, and then I made her watch it again a couple of years ago, and she said, "Oh, actually, that's quite good."
I don't know if I've just watched it.
So you just need to give it time.
I don't know if I've watched it too much. That might be the problem. But
it's a weird thing with Christmas films, isn't it? Because you think once a year doesn't feel like too much, but sometimes it is too much. I think the problem is
Love Actually is just a little bit shit. So if you watch it too much, once a year is too much. Well,
wow.
It's not.
Wow. It's the finest thing ever produced in this country.
Those two statements.
Okay, maybe not quite that much.
Those two statements are also not mutually exclusive.
That's fair. That is fair. Well, this country produced Charles Darwin.
True. That's true. I'll maybe give you that one. I don't know what it is about Love Actually.
No, it's a little bit shit, but that's part of the charm of it, because it's a Christmas film. They're supposed to be a little bit shit.
I don't understand
but in a good way.
Why this is an okay thing. It's just like Hallmark churning out various iterations of the Christmas Prince or whatever the fuck it's called.
That's Netflix.
Is that Netflix? I don't know.
Yeah. Hallmark, I mean, bravo.
How do you have...
They know how to make
How do you have a company a company that successful whose two products are crap Christmas films and overpriced birthday cards?
Yeah.
It's amazing.
But they crack the formula because it's the same plot every single time, and it works every single time.
It is.
So, no, I mean, a Hallmark film always sneaks in at some point, right? Because how can it not? But Love Actually, I feel for me, is kind of a Christmas staple.
I think it is a Christmas staple. There's so much of it that, like, if you watch it with a critical eye, you're just like, I don't like any of these people. Even though the individual
but I think that's what makes it good.
Of the film are quite good.
But I think that is what makes it kind of good, because it's a star ensemble cast, but they're playing kind of despicable people. I'm
trying to work out who the best person in Love Actually is.
The best person,
the morally best person. Is it Liam Neeson?
That's surely got to be Liam Neeson or Emma Thompson.
Liam Neeson or Emma Thompson.
She does nothing wrong.
No, it's Emma Thompson. It's 100% Emma Thompson. Closely followed by...
Liam Neeson does nothing wrong. He just
But he's not
focuses
wronged,
on his...
Whereas Emma Thompson is wronged, and so that almost makes her morally better. She gets all of Alan Rickman's negative morality, and it turns her into, it goes to her as positive morality. That's how morality works. Yeah. It's a zero-sum game.
Absolutely. Of course it is. there's your nugget of Christmas wisdom from Sean. With Liam Neeson's character, I've never figured out if that's his son or his stepson. It's always bothered
it's
me.
His stepson. It's never exactly made clear, but I'm sure it's...
I know, because you'd imagine the paperwork for that is going to be nightmarish.
Well, no, because if his wife is a widow and they're married, then it probably is fine.
I mean, possibly.
But I'm not a family lawyer, so I don't know. But
also, the thing that guy ended up playing Jojen Reed is kind of mind-boggling.
So good. He also doesn't. He's also in The Queen's Gambit.
He's in a lot of stuff.
But he just hasn't grown up. He's 40 and just looks the same age. It's great. What genes?
But no, Emma Thompson's surely the main character in the film, right? Because she seems to be connected to everybody.
I think
because she knows Liam Neeson's character for some reason.
Is she the one who's most connected to everyone?
Because she's Hugh Grant's sister.
Hugh Grant's sister.
Liam Neeson's friend?
Or friends with his wife, but yes.
Or friends with his wife, yeah. I suppose that's where it ends, isn't it? Well,
how does she know
Alan Rickman.
it's Alan Rickman? How does she know Colin Firth?
How does anyone know Colin
Firth? He just exists.
Fuck, is Colin Firth doing
he
it
just
stuff?
exists.
He just exists.
Away.
No, he must overlap, doesn't? No. No, Colin Firth's girlfriend.
No, Colin Firth's girlfriend's Portuguese. She doesn't know anyone.
No. As in the woman who cheats on him.
She doesn't. We never see her again. Who's Colin Firth?
No, Colin Firth, I'm sure, is on the phone with Emma Thompson as well, isn't he?
No, that's
God, who does he call when he goes off? Yeah, no, he is for sure.
I'm going to need to
There
watch.
you go. We're going to have to watch Love Actually.
To watch Love Actually with post-it notes of everyone. Bill Nye is surely the least connected to anyone.
Yeah, but he knows Elton John.
He does know Elton John at the end, though. That's true.
He's
he wins.
Instantly the most connected. Now, Colin Firth is throwing me. I can't remember how he knows anybody.
It'll be really obvious.
Yeah.
Because Martin Freeman somehow is affiliated with the school. It all connects to the school that Emma Thompson's kids go to. Because that's where everyone convenes at the end. Anyway.
Yeah, Love Actually. Great film. It's because it's... I feel like a lot of films have tried since to do that sort of thing, like interconnected storylines, Christmas vibe, big cast, but it just doesn't hit the same.
It's so British in a lot of ways. It's such a British film because
so it makes
in the grand scheme of things, most people's problems in that film are really small. Like, they're big for them, but they're...
I mean, you're saying the Prime Minister of Great Britain's problems are small.
But his problem is that he fancies someone he works with.
Yes, and he more or less declares war on the United States of America off the back of it.
In the film being awful, he puts his own interests ahead of fundamental British foreign policy.
You damn well know that this country will support that decision.
Yeah,
because it's the right one.
If he explains why, everyone will be like, "Oh yeah, no wait, we got your back, mate. Don't worry about it."
Also, Billy Bob Thornton for President of the United States.
What a fantastic...
Can we make that happen?
A fantastic George W. Bush.
W or George H.W.?
He's got to be W because Hugh Grant is absolutely Tony Blair.
Yeah, no, I get that, but
so he's got to be...
I feel Billy Bob's too,
smooth.
Actually, yeah, it's W. Yeah.
Yeah, you might be right about HW.
It could work. So that's obviously a classic. We mentioned Die Hard before. Christmas film, for sure.
It's a film that takes place at Christmas time and people watch it at Christmas. I struggle with people calling it a Christmas film, but I don't care enough. It's not. It's an action film that takes place at Christmas, but I don't actually care.
See, I think Die Hard is just a metronome, ultimately. Because that's a film that you can rewatch, but it just so happens that the last time you watched it was at Christmas. And so the next time you watch it is at Christmas because it feels right.
I have seen someone try and make the case that it's a Christmas film because it's actually all about family, and I'm not sure that it is because it contains the line, "Ho, ho, ho, now I have a machine gun." So...
I mean, yes.
Some
families are into that. Let's move on. Home Alone. More guns.
Is Die Hard a Christmas film because it's also got Alan Rickman in it?
You just want to make the point about the Philosopher's Stone, don't you?
No, I wasn't actually going to mention the Philosopher's Stone, but thank you for that doorway. I'll be coming back to that one later. Home Alone, clearly a Christmas film. We needn't. Love it. Love Home Alone. It's so good.
Home Alone is very good. Yeah, Home Alone is very good. Although recently I did see a meme, what would happen if that was now, where Macaulay Culkin just picks up his phone, texts, "Mum, I'm home alone," and she comes back.
Yeah, it's less funny. You can't really make Home Alone now, can you?
No, it doesn't really work the same way now. Everyone's got cameras everywhere and stuff, so it doesn't really work. But that's a classic, of course. Slapstick comedy is always great value.
Yep.
Elf is a weird one. I know a lot of people love it.
Not for me. But I don't really like Will Ferrell.
That's the issue I have with it. Like, I like Elf, but Will Ferrell's a problem.
The problem is that Will
I've
Ferrell
never really understood
is
why
in
he's a
it.
problem. Yeah. But I like Zooey Deschanel. She's funny.
Fair.
And of course, our favourite Lannister as well. Although he's in it quite briefly.
You're going to have to tell me who my favourite Lannister is.
Tyrion.
Is he?
Completely blanking on the actor's name.
Peter Dinklage is in it.
That's the one. Thank you.
Oh, he is, because there's the really awkward, oh my gosh, it's an elf scene.
Yes, exactly. Yes.
Yeah, I think that might be like, it scenes like that might be why I don't like Elf. There's something about Will Ferrell.
Potentially.
I just don't like him. I don't think he's very good. Well, no,
mean,
he's good at what he does. I don't like what he does, I think is the...
I think that might be. He's sort of Adam Sandler, and I struggle with him as well.
I have a friend...
Muppets Christmas Carol, I think, is a classic.
Sorry, just because you brought Adam Sandler up very, very quickly. I have a friend who you have met...
Why? Oh, no.
Who has a massive crush on Adam Sandler.
Crush
and
on
it's
Adam
not
Sandler.
who you think it is that you've met as well.
That is interesting information. I don't know what to do with
take
that.
it offline. But I'm also looking forward to getting a text message on Christmas Eve, on Boxing Day.
Adam Sandler, though, really?
Yeah, apparently.
It must be those big shorts.
Yeah, I guess. We've never got to the bottom of it.
Well, I can never forgive Adam Sandler for making his one critically acclaimed serious movie,
which
Uncut Gems. Like, because people loved it, and I think it's the single most difficult watch I have ever sat through in my life.
I don't think I've seen it.
Give it a go. It's yeah.
I will.
I'll
have a look. But
it's the best way of describing it. But then I've never wanted to stop watching something with every fibre of my being quite so much. But I think it's what the film's going for. So you have to commend.
Is that a good thing to be going for in a film? Make people not want to watch it?
Well, yeah, that depends on the subject matter, I suppose, right?
Maybe.
I'm also in the minority in the people that didn't resonate well with me. Other people really loved it. But for those sort of reasons, I think.
Maybe. I'll find it. I'm always looking out for films to watch. With all of my copious free time, obviously. Muppets Christmas Carol, you mentioned. Love it. Great film.
Wait, Michael Caine.
Yeah.
What more do you need?
Job done.
I mean, can we just dwell on that a second? Michael Caine in Muppets Christmas Carol.
All Christmas films are like this, though. They've got ridiculous casts.
Bill Murray, Scrooged, another great film.
Yeah. The Holiday, which is on our list, has an absolutely insane cast.
See, The Holiday is an interesting one because that actually, I think, came after Love Actually quite a bit. It's got a serious group of people in it.
Well, it's Jude Law, Cameron Diaz, Kate Winslet, Jack Black,
the most decorated actresses in the world. Jack Black, yeah, love Jack Black.
Rufus Sewell.
Yeah, that dude.
What a dick! Like, it's
he's one of the scummiest characters ever to be in a film, surely.
In that, or in
the character, not the actor.
He only ever plays dickheads as well.
It's because he's got the face.
And he's got the voice for it. I once saw him walking down the high street in Oxford.
Did you shout, "Oi"?
No, I did a sort of double take just as he walked past, and then spent ages trying to remember what his name was.
I always struggle with that as well because he's very recognisable. I'm sure he's a lovely guy.
Yeah,
I'm basing that on absolutely nothing. But yeah, The Holiday, weirdly good film.
I was really surprised with it
for what it does.
I was really surprised by it because I didn't expect to like it because I thought it was like a Netflix Hallmark type Christmas film, and it's not. It's much better than that.
It goes deeper. It's also just, having sort of California and an unbelievably picturesque snowy Surrey cottage.
Yeah, like
that, let's be honest, will have cost more than the house
I was
in
going to
LA.
say, how does Kate Winslet afford that as like an editor at a newspaper or whatever? A publisher, isn't it? She's an editor at a publishing house or something.
No, isn't it a Telegraph or something? Or the Times?
Whatever it is. She's not a
pretty
CEO
major.
in the city, so she can't afford that house.
No, exactly.
No, it's great. I love it. And then for some reason, we've got Christmas with the Cranks on our list. I think because I watched it last year. Which, that was,
well,
funny.
But I'd tell you my fascination with it.
Right.
Do you know who came up with that?
Christmas with the Cranks?
Yeah.
No.
It's a John Grisham novel.
It's not.
Skipping Christmas, yeah. I've read that novel, and I remember it being one of the funniest novels I've read. This is a long time ago. I was like, this cannot possibly be John Grisham.
Sorry, the reason...
It makes no sense, but it really works.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I can't believe you didn't know that. The most famous lawyer in the world.
I sort of associate John Grisham with, like, legal dramas and stuff, not...
Yeah, and then he just decided to just churn out Skipping Christmas,
so
which is a great read. And then somehow that gets turned into a film with Jamie Lee Curtis and Dan Aykroyd in it.
Yeah.
And Tim Allen.
And also Tim Allen's there. I don't like Christmas with the Cranks for a very specific reason, which is that Tim Allen's decision to skip Christmas and do something nice with his wife is completely valid, and everyone castigates him for it. He should probably have checked with Jamie Lee Curtis first that she was okay with this, but other than that, I don't like the way he's like, oh, at the end he actually really enjoys it. Like, no, that man wanted to go on holiday. Let him go on holiday. Sorry.
Well, it's the daughter sort of coming back.
Yeah, but they didn't know.
But no, I agree.
Like, empty nest syndrome is a real thing. Let the man have a year where he's not reminded of the fact that his daughter isn't around anymore. She's off doing her own thing. If that's what he and his wife want to do.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Bloody Christmas films.
What about any like Christmas books? Do
I read Christmas
read
books? Because obviously we've got our daughter now. We're like starting to get into that a little bit. So there's some books that we put away last year that we've got back out now to read with her. But I don't really.
I'm sure she'll be watching Frozen before too long.
Yeah, that'll be.
Which I guess is not technically a Christmas film.
I feel like it probably will be, though. I think I might declare Frozen a Christmas film. Oh no, we only watch that at Christmas time.
Oh, smart. I like it. I'm just trying to like famous Christmas films. There's not that many. I guess the Santa Claus series talking about Tim Allen.
Yeah.
But I never really. Yeah.
There's like the Snowman.
There's also the weird horror /
Nightmare Before Christmas.
thriller Christmas stuff like Jack Frost.
Jack Frost. There's the Nightmare Before Christmas, which is not actually nice Tim Burton. Is that right? It just looks like it is.
Yeah. It feels like it should be,
I think that's right.
Polar Express.
Polar Express was the one I was just thinking of. No, I mean, we've got...
Did you go to something like the Nutcracker? Is that like something you do?
We used to go to pantomimes when I was a kid.
Oh, yeah, that's a very British thing, isn't it?
I don't think I like pantomimes. Or...
See, I've never been because I don't think I will like a pantomime.
They're good when you're a kid. So, if my daughter wanted to go to one in a few years' time, I'd probably trudge along and sit in the crowd and make all the noises. But I don't think they're not designed for adults, and that's part of the problem. Well, it's not a problem, but that's part of the thing with Christmas. Is so much of it is geared towards kids, and rightly so. So things, I guess, in that sense, films like Love Actually or The Holiday that are a bit more for grown-ups as well, or instead, probably do make sense. And maybe that's where something like Hogfather comes in as well.
Yeah, it'd be nice to find the adaptation of that one.
I'm going to do some serious digging. I was sent it today,
wild.
in fact, on YouTube, except it's not available in the UK.
Huh.
But it was made by the BBC, but it's not on iPlayer. As far as I can tell, it's not available anywhere on Prime.
Interesting.
So you can't even pay for it.
Okay.
I don't know where it is.
Yeah, I'll have a dig around as well.
Yeah.
Tell you what has become, albeit a very recent addition to my yearly read for Christmas, is that little bit at the end of Battleground in the Dresden Files. The little Christmas story. I think that's so good. I really enjoy it. Because I think, in that universe and knowing what Harry Dresden has just been through, just the normality, even though he's visited by like 3 gods.
Yeah.
The normality of that scene is just that really sums up Christmas for me.
Him sitting on the floor trying to build the bike after everyone else has gone.
This is effectively nearly ended, like around him. Massive loss, etc. And then he's just building a bike for his daughter.
Yeah, no, I'm with you.
Surrounded by family and friends.
And then
murderous fairy queens.
And then I'm gonna call Santa a friend. Kringle turns up and hands him a cup of sweet
great gift,
coffee or cocoa or whatever it is. And it's because Harry doesn't need a proper gift from Kringle. What he needs is that comfort. Oh, it's great. Brings a tear to my eye. Yeah.
That's a great story. So well done.
But it also contains a very thinly veiled threat from Kringle, which is great.
Wouldn't be the Dresden verse for that. Something.
Call me a liar on Christmas Eve one more time, I dare you.
Yeah. And I will obliterate you from existence, more or less.
Saying that in a house surrounded by guardian angels as well.
Yes, well, I mean...
Who'd probably all just
I think even they have no authority over Kringle on Christmas Day.
I think they'd all just go,
Christmas Eve.
He did that to himself. Sorry.
Yeah, that's entirely fair. You're all just there shaking his head. But the one thing you shouldn't have done. But yeah, that's Christmas. I mean, I imagine that you'll, at this time, whenever this time is, will be enjoying your dinner. Do you go for the usual turkey stuff?
Well, because we're just... There's just going to be the 3 of us this year. So what we've actually done is we've got all the trimmings and everything, but we're just getting a chicken. Because I don't actually particularly like turkey. I think it's like...
See, I'm hearing that so much. I think it's a better chicken.
Do you?
But yeah, no, for 3 people, it's completely
the smallest turkey serves 12 or something. It's ridiculous. And it's so expensive.
It's comically large, but
that's interesting.
Chicken, though, chicken's good. I'd have gone for a duck or something.
I was pushing for duck. But we landed on chicken because I was pushing for duck and my wife was pushing for chicken. So we compromised on chicken.
Yeah, of course.
Well, to be fair, duck was my compromise position from goose. So maybe we did compromise.
See, but goose is already enormous as well, isn't it? That surely feeds a lot.
It doesn't feed as many as you think because there's very little.
They're not fattened up very well. You've got like a foie gras goose.
It's like a big duck, basically.
Yeah,
it's very nice though.
Yeah.
What about you?
There you have it.
What will you be having?
I will be drowning in cheese because we tend to go for raclette for Christmas Day because we're proper Europeans.
That would do it. That would absolutely do it.
It's great, but wow, does it slow you down?
Just thinking this time after a lot of raclette, I would be dead.
Yeah,
I would just have solid.
But you know what? It sort of lessens the burden in the kitchen.
That's true.
For whoever that might be. So it's quite nice from that point.
That's true. The kit.
I mean, the house stinks for days on end afterwards.
But the Christmas cleanup is an absolute ball ache.
Yes.
Finding goose fat for weeks afterward, just stuck on the underside of stuff.
What a wonderful time of year.
Love it. I think all that remains is to say thank you very much for listening to us ramble on about the Hogfather and other assorted Christmas tales. Thanks also for listening to us all year. We really appreciate it. And we'll be back in 2 weeks' time with our usual fare.
Until then, of course, Merry Christmas, season's greetings, happy holidays, whatever floats your boat. We'll be there for you in what I'm sure will be a happy new year.